everyone, this is Misha from Made Up Me Search, and today we have 7 high-end dupes that I really need you to know because I just discovered them in my collection. So let's go, let's get to it. I'm gonna do one half of my face high-end and one half of my face drugstore, and you're gonna tell me if you can tell which one is which at the end of the video because I don't think you're gonna notice. So let's go. Dupe number 1. I want to talk about the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte What Are You Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. I used to love this primer so much when it first came out. It is it's like a nice, creamy, very matte looking primer when you put it on. Not really matte like dry, but it's really like soft focus, kind of blurred finish. It makes your skin look and feel really, really nice. And the makeup sits so well on top. I used to love this primer so much. And even now on the hand, like you can tell maybe you can't because the camera's not that great, but this side of my hand where I applied it definitely looks a little bit more blurred and smooth, and I love that. And the dupe for this, in my opinion, this is going to be a little bit of a controversial one, is the Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. Now this, I've been loving this so much for like the few past weeks, and I couldn't figure out why because it was reminding me something so much. And even though it's completely different in terms of the texture, like look at this. This one is more like a clear, almost silicone-y looking gel, but then you kind of massage it out. It becomes very like wet and slippery and super lightweight. But then at the end of the day, even though the textures are very different, not only the effect, but also the feel of these two is very similar. Like once the Wet n Wild one dries down, it becomes a very similar finish to the Fenty one. So now I'm gonna apply these. I'm gonna apply one to each side of my face so that you can't really tell which one is which. You probably cannot see much now, and that is okay. But trust me, my face feels very similar to both sides. The Wet n Wild side feels a little bit more cold and fresher. I think it's just the texture of the primer. But overall, I feel like we're looking nice and blurred on both sides. Next, I want to talk about foundation because I found almost a perfect dupe of the Fenty Stick Foundation. I swear this was not on purpose, but a bunch of these products are from Fenty. So first we have the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. This is one of my favorite stick foundations because it's very natural, it's very easy to apply, and it looks amazing. It looks very skin-like. So here it is swatched on my hand. I have the shade 2, a medium coverage, let's say. It does have a slightly sheeny finish, very similar to your actual skin. It does look a little bit exaggerated because of my lights. But a perfect dupe for this one is the Catrice Soft Glam Filter Stick Glow Booster in the shade 10. I used this recently in a video and I loved it. And it did remind me of this foundation so much. Look at them side by side, like if you omit the shade difference and the fact that the Catrice one is a little bit more sheer, they have a very similar like feel and finish and thickness. So I think this could be actually a pretty good dupe, and I have been wearing the Catrice one quite a lot, and I gotta say it does have a very good wear time. Now let's blend. And there we have it all nice and blended. So both of these I would say look very similar. If you look at the face, maybe one side has a slightly more coverage, but honestly I don't think it's that big of a difference, and both sides look very nice, very skin-like, very lightweight. This is my perfect like everyday foundation. This is usually what I reach for. So now let's move on to concealer, and I swear I'm not doing this on purpose, but we have to talk about the Fenty Hydrating Concealer. This is their We're Even Hydrating Longwear Concealer. This was like a second formula they launched, I think, or maybe third, and it was supposed to be like a nice hydrating concealer. Like, I personally didn't love their first concealer formula. It was a little bit thick and dry for my liking. But this one is like a complete opposite of that. I feel like it's more in the serum concealer ballpark, but back then it wasn't a thing. But it looks like this. It is very creamy, very decent coverage. And then to dupe that, we have the new Catrice Instant Bright Serum Concealer, which is supposed to be a medium coverage concealer. Very similar in many aspects, actually. It does feel very similar on the skin, and it looks very similar, you know, except for the shade, because of course the shade is not going to be completely similar. But the way they feel, the way they blend, the thickness, the texture, the creaminess, they are very, very similar products. And I'm just gonna quickly apply them. Alright, so that is it. I don't think you would be able to tell that I have two different shades of concealer on. Both cover the similar amount of my horrible under eyes, and I like them both. I really do. I just quickly set my face with a tiny bit of powder so that we can move on to blush, because I don't really want to, apply blush on non-powdered face. That's just not the way I live. For the blush, I have a bit of a viral moment, I feel like, because everybody was raving about this. This is the Rare Beauty Powder Blush in the shade Joy. It's this beautiful dome of color and light. It is so reflective. It is just as reflective in real life as it looks on camera, I swear. And this is one of those like very, let me just swatch it for you, very glowy blushes. And it looks like this. It is a very nice peachy tone with a lot of gold glitter. And the dupe I have here is not really a dupe in terms of the exact shade, but it is a dupe in terms of a very close formula. This is the Kiko Radiant Blush in the shade Natural Biscuit. And this is so beautiful and so reflective. I would say this is probably like the closest you can get. Even though the shade is very different, I feel like you can tell that the finish and the amount of pigment and everything is very similar. I would say the Kiko one is a little bit more pigmented, and the Rare Beauty is more like just a veil of color. And also the shade is very different. Like they're both in the peachy category, but you can see that the Kiko one is a little bit more orange. The Rare Beauty one is a little bit more pink and it has a gold tone, and the Kiko one has like a blue silvery reflect in it. So there's a bunch of differences between the two, but I would say that when it comes to baked blushes, like Kiko really knows what they're doing. And also they keep like relaunching their products in different new collections, which is amazing. Maybe I dipped in a bit much. And the other one. There we go. Those are the blushes. You can definitely tell that they're a little bit different in terms of shade, but can you tell which is which? I'm not sure. Let's move on to another product. This one is a little bit more, this one is in the highlighting category, and I'm talking about the infamous Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm almost sure I already tried to dupe this one once. So, the Hollywood Flawless Filter, it's a very interesting product. It's like a highlighter, it's a mixing medium, it's a base, it's whatever you want it to be, really. It is beautifully natural highlighty liquid. I have the shade Too Fair, and I don't use it as often as I should, I think, because it was pretty pricey even in the small size. But it's, everybody was just obsessing over it. Every brand and its sister brand has a dupe for this product. And I have a lot of them, actually. Many of them I use as a foundation, but the one that I found is the closest is the Vicom Beauty Retouch Multifunctional Glow Balm. This one, the packaging, the texture, the sheen, the opacity, like everything they did is so much similar to the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like this one is a little bit more liquidy even than the Charlotte Tilbury one, but when you look at them side by side, very similar tone, very similar sheen, just overall the thickness of it, the texture of it, the glow it gives you, the kind of like gel film you see filming over there. And Vicon is a pretty affordable brand, so definitely if you don't want to splurge too much but get the same effect, I would say it's a great dupe. Now let me, apply some. Yeah, it's pretty similar. I'm not sure you would be able to tell. At least not in person. I'm gonna use one brush, but I'm gonna, rotate it. It's very glowy, it's not glittery at all. It's a nice formula, I'm just not used to reaching for that much. Even on bare skin, this looks really, really good. The one I want to talk about now is a very famous single eyeshadow. This is the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow in the shade Space Cowboy. Also, I feel like this had a full moment online. If you look at it, it's just kind of like a beigey eyeshadow with a lot of silver glitter. And it does look beautiful, I'll give him that. Like, it's a very beautiful eyeshadow. But you know who also does beautiful eyeshadows? ColourPop. And I would swear they actually did market this one as a dupe for the Space Cowboy. This is the Super Shock Shadow in the shade Ritz, which again is like a beigey, shade with a lot of glitter. And if I swatch them next to each other, like you can't really tell which one is which. I would say the Super Shock one may have a little bit of a stronger base in terms of the pigment, which could be just the swatch, you know, the way I swatched it. But the glitters in it are exactly the same. You're looking at like a super fine diamondy looking glitter. However, Space Cowboy is extremely pricey. So let's just apply it all over the lid so we can see the full glory of both of these shadows. And then you tell me which one you think is which, because I think this one is probably the closest dupe we have today. Like, this one is genuinely like the same product. Look at how beautiful though. This is such a pretty eyeshadow. I love it. I feel like they're super close. There might be a little bit like a different glitter distribution in one of these. They're a little bit less sparse, but honestly, the color on the lids, it's the same, I would say. So some of my favorite lip products in the past years have been like the lip gloss sticks. One of them being the Makeup by Mario Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serums. These are very pricey, but very like luscious and glowy, as you can see. Let me just swatch it for you real quick. These are kind of hard to swatch because the bullet is very big and the product is very soft. But you can see it is this beautiful, rich, almost like reddish brown. I love this one so much. But then I discovered that, you know, drugstore is kind of getting a hold of this formula as well. And thank God I discovered the Trended Up Shine and Click Gloss in a Stick, which is like a fraction of a price. I have the shade 20. In the Mario, I have the shade Cinnamon Glow. And even though the shade is not like 100% match, let me just show you these two side by side. They're both like pretty luscious and pretty rich, you know? We're looking at these like high shine, beautiful brown stick glosses, and I couldn't be any happier. These are a little bit finicky to put on, so I will line my lips. And now I'm just gonna go in and apply both of these beauties. And because you would know by the packaging, I'm not gonna show you how I apply them. You know, the tones of the brown are slightly different, so you can probably tell that I have a different lipstick on each side of my lips. However, packaging-wise, I would say that I do actually prefer the thinner one, because the formula is like, oh no, I just wiped it on my sweatpants, god damn it. But the formula is so like thin and glidey and very glossy that it's really hard to apply evenly from this freaking packaging. And I know you're probably supposed to use it with like a brush or something, but I'm lazy. I'm not gonna carry around a brush. So yeah, but I love both of these. I think you can tell that the shine is very similar. So I don't think we're necessarily losing anything by not buying the Makeup by Mario one, even though I love them. And I think the shade range is so much better. And the shades are a lot more like thought through. Like the undertone of this brown is absolutely incredible. This brown is more like your basic warm brown. It's not really that unique of a shade, but the formula is very similar. So it really depends on what you're after, you know? And that completes this video. So this is the whole face of the originals versus the dupes. Tell me now, what is your tip? What are the high-end products and what are the drugstore? I'll wait. And the answer is, ta-da! So this side is all high-end products and this side is all drugstore products. Were you surprised by this one? I don't know. Listen, I love all of these products. I use all of these products. I just feel like if you want to save some money and you don't want to spend a fortune on your makeup, there are definitely great affordable products that you can get that do perform exactly the same or at least very close to the high end. And yeah, I just love drugstore. I always have. I was very happy to show you these 7 dupes. If you enjoyed this little dupe video, give it a like and I might do another one. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!